dhaqanka ay qorshaysay wasaaradda waxbarashada ee dalka Canada ayaa lagu qabtay magaalada Toronto ee dalka Canada gaar ahaan iskuulka Qabin Collegeed ee ku yaala galbeedka magaalada Toronto. dood cilmiyeed si wanaagsan loo soo qorsheeyay laguna weyneynayay maalintaas ayaa lagu muujiyay fagaaraha iskuulka. Madasha waxaa soo xaadiray aqoon-yahano Soomaaliyeed iyo dad ajnabi ah oo waxbarashada gobolka Ontario lug weyn ku leh, waxaana qaar ka mid ah professorro wax ka dhiga jaamacadaha dalka Canada. Mohamed oo wax ka dhiga jaamacadda York University iyo Ahmed oo asagana wax ka dhiga jaamacadda University of Toronto. Amina Jama oo ka mid ah aqoon-yahanada reer Toronto iyo Fowzia Mahamed oo ka tirsan Gudiga iskuulada magaalada Toronto. Madasha fagaarahan waxaa soo qaban qaabisan Ahmed oo u dhalay rugcadaas xaafadeed Ciilsona oo ka mid ah macallimiinta magaalada Toronto isla markaana madaxa Gudiga qabanqaabada munaasabadan ayaa ayada si qiira ku jirta uga jawaabtay su'aalihii ay dadkaasi weydiiyeen.
So again, we have a series of questions that we're hoping to engage our panelists with this evening, and there's an opportunity for all the parents in the community to ask a few questions at the very end. And we're going to get started, and my colleague Naima is going to ask the first question of the panelists.
You can ask questions, and if you put your hand up, we have volunteers that can come up and give you a paper to write the questions, or you can come up to the microphone and ask your question there. So panelists, thank you so much for taking the time from your busy day to come out here today. So the first question that we have for you today is, why is parent engagement important for student success? I'm going to start with Fowzia.
As the research indicates that the more involved the parents are in the child's education, it results in higher grades, higher achievements, higher graduation rates, and higher enrollment in post-secondary education. And we all know here that the Somali parents here today are very serious about their child's education. That's why they're spending their evening to be here today, and they have high expectations for their child. But the question is not only about what is parent engagement, but it's what are the many different pathways for parents to get involved in their child's education. So we know that within each of the schools, we have school councils, where it's an opportunity for parents to shape the programs that are operating in their own schools. Also, there is, at the board level, at 5050 Yonge Street, there are many other avenues for parents to get involved. So the efforts from the Somali Task Force Committee helped shape this conference today. And so there's opportunity for parents to get involved at that level to help shape policies, to inform the board of how better to serve the needs of the Somali community. We also have the Black Student Achievement Task Force at the board, which is open to the public, and these are another opportunities to share information to the board of how better to serve Black students in the TDSB. We also, for those who are not parents in the room and they're representative of community agencies, community organizations, there is the Community Advisory Committee, Community Use of Schools Advisory Committee, which provides information about how we better serve the use of these schools to better serve the community needs. So there are ideas like community hubs, where it's a wraparound of services, early years education, pathways to education, which pathways to education is also situated in Kipling Collegiate, which serves students to help them now and to increase the number of students going on to university and colleges. Also, for parents who might be struggling with language barriers, there's resources at the board, interpreters and translators that can accompany you for meetings at the school. So the question here more about is, as a community, we need to be more aware of all the resources that are available to parents and to tap into these opportunities in order to shape the narrative of Somali students and Somali student success in the board. Thank you.
Same question. Why is parent engagement important for student success?
She really discussed everything that basically was about to be said. But one thing that we should know, I will encourage, is high school. we should start being engaged. First of all, what is student, parents, teachers, what is parents' engagement? We have to ask that. It's parents being involved with the parents, it's stakeholders, the teachers, the community, with the community and the students, all of them being involved to do what? To make our children successful. And it should not be, high school should not be the place where we involve our children. We get involved with our children. It should be from way elementary, middle school. I am an advocate for that, and I always tell them, my kids used to tell me, Hoyo, the teachers say, don't come to school. It's okay, sign my report card and go. No, whether they call me or not, I'm always there. I have to remind them that this is my child's education, this is my child's future. First of all, we have to get that clear. I'm not going to be critical of it because there's so many barriers that we have to overcome. And there's always solutions that we can find in it. For example, there's a language barrier, parents working, most of them come from single parenthood, fathers or mothers not that much involved. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, but what we have to focus on, what do we do? I'll tell you one thing that I know for sure. When a parent is involved, the children becomes confident. The children become confident. And when you are not an advocate for your child, everybody else, when you are an advocate for your child, nothing will go wrong.
I think both Fowzia and Amina have said it very well. I will want to ask or actually address a very important aspect of this, which is not only why, but how can parents get engaged? And I would separate this into two parts. Parents who have children from 6 to 9 years old, and parents who have children who are older from 10 to 16. Now, how? First of all, parents have to understand that the birth of a child is a life-altering event. And parents have to get involved from way in the beginning. So for a 6 to 9 year old, this is the time I call the times of intensive supervision. Your child, you have to be everything to your child. Or in another way, I would say this is the flashlight age. You have to keep supervising all the time. This requires sacrifice. At school, the teachers have to be the parents' friends, and the engagement should be intensive. The second part is when you have a 10 to 16-year-old. This is what I called the age of the GPS. You have to know where and what your child is doing, and especially the values and the behaviors of children who are their peers, they are playing with, and so on. You have to explain to them that everything they think or say or do has consequences. I have boys, and I think one of the things I have stressed is if they want to do something, if they have friends, they should bring home. Everything should happen under my roof. You have to make sure that your child, whatever they are doing and whoever peers they are going with, you know them very well. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the evening. I mean, a lot has already been said. So what I'm going to do as an academic who engages in questions of education, perhaps begin to conceptualize what education is and what schooling actually is. Because I think there's a disconnect between the ways in which our parents' generation went to school, right? And how Canadian kids of Somali descent are being schooled today, right? And I think part of that change is from the stories that my parents tell me that, kids would go to school and that would, part of that socialization, questions of culture, how they were brought up. And now things are a bit more different. So in Canadian society, the system is structured in a way to socialize one particular generation in a way that meets the future needs of that particular society. So education is beyond the classroom. It's about socialization. It's where children see themselves reflected in society, right? It's the lens in which they see themselves. And in that sense, the question then is, how do they become members of their society, right? So it's not just a question of being Canadian of Somali descent, because the reality is 70% of our children today don't speak Somali, right? They're born in Canada, they're Canadian. So how do they fit into the Canadian landscape as far as education is concerned? And here's where some both structural challenges, conceptual challenges, and communal challenges are before us, right? So with the question that I'm initially supposed to respond to with parent engagement and community engagement, the reality is it's something like Dr. Munya has said, you have to start really, really early on, right? And be active in every process, right? From preschool, right? As far as reading programs, writing programs, and essentially learn to inspire your children as parents, right? Dare them to dream, push them forward, right? And the reality is, in many ways, your children are going to be the first, in many instances, to achieve in Canada, right? So push them. Whatever their talents are, push them towards that, inspire them. Be a supporting parent, right? And whatever strengths and or weaknesses your children have, support them in those strengths and weaknesses, and dare them to dream, push them forward, and let them make their mark in Canadian society. Let them be, right? Just push them forward, be loving, be supportive, right? But also, instill in them some key values that when they leave their homes, they are Somali as well. They have those roots, right? They come from a place. So questions of language at home, right? Studies show that when children have a better grasp of their mother tongue, they have a better sense of their identity. And when they have a better sense of their identity, they function better in society. So in that sense, drive towards that, right? And dare the children to dream, essentially. I'm not sure if I answered the question, but.
Well, thank you. You've all touched on a little bit about our second question. Yesterday we were celebrating at the board office, and one of our executive superintendents commented on the incredible success of many of our students of Somali descent in terms of moving forward, graduation rates of students. While that is absolutely the case that we've seen so many students in that trajectory moving forward, there are still challenges, and we're hoping that we can comment on that as well. I know that some of you touched on it a little bit, but the question is about what advice do you have for our Somali parents who are raising boys? How do we set them up for success? And this is an area that I think that many communities are struggling with. We know that this is an area the Somali community has indeed identified as an area of concern, and these questions are coming from that place. So we're hoping that you can all comment on that. So we'll start. Go ahead, Fowzia, please.
Very great question. How can we support the success of Somali boys? So I agree with what was being discussed earlier. We need to be very intentional, and we need to start early. We need to support Somali students and all students with resources very early on, starting in kindergarten. We need to think about all the resources that are available to students in elementary, in middle school, in high school. And we need to be very intentional about that. And we need to be strategic and be able to equip the community and the parents about these resources that are available. And we actively need to seek out what are the opportunities that are available. I'll just touch on a brief example. So when I was applying, I applied to graduate school at the time. And I applied to OISE in the Sociology and Equity Studies program. And in my undergrad year, in my first year, I received some courses that was in grade a D level and a C level. And I was informed that in order to get into the master's program, that I would need to have all A's in all of my courses in my undergrad years. And then what the admissions criteria was stated was that you need to have an A average in order to get into the graduate program. And there's a reason why I'm telling this quick story. So when I thought about this, I thought to myself, yes, my grades was not up to par in meeting the criteria. But at the same time, I thought to myself, what other ways what I can do to differentiate myself as a candidate and how I can be much more competitive. I asked myself not just what I don't have, but what I can do to change my situation and in order to achieve this goal. So what I did was I sought out mentors who are already in the master's program that I'm looking to get into. I talked to the professors in the program. I looked at alternative routes to get into what I'm trying to ultimately achieve. And I also, a lot of times as community and even with our children or our students, if they are not succeeding, we only think success from a very much linear pathway. We think that in order to get that end goal, you need to do A, B, and Z. But there are many different pathways to achieve these goals. So when we're thinking about student success, if a child or a student who is not succeeded, there are many different avenues to get to the end goal. So for example, at the board, we have the dual credit program. And the dual credit program is targeted to students where they can get high school credits. They can also do post-secondary education, so they get a post-secondary education credit. They get to experience how post-secondary education works like and looks like, so that can empower them to visualize and see that post-secondary education is very much doable for them. And also, they get to spend time in the library, the opportunity to get a free student ID, and all of this is free of cost. We also have at the board with the universities and colleges, there are transitional and bridging programs. So if students are a mature age, 18 and above, who don't meet the criteria for admission to university, U of T offers a transitional year program, which is 8 months, and you finish that program and then you can be enrolled in university. The same applies to the other universities. In York University, Ryerson, they offer these opportunities. The TDSB also offers credit recovery. If you're not meeting the credits at a certain time, there are other opportunities. There are summer mentorship program, which I mentioned earlier today, which encourage more students, Black students, Indigenous students, to pursue careers like medicine, law, social work, which is very much underrepresented. So what I want to say is the key message here is when we're thinking about success, we need to have much of a growth mindset. So this term was coined by a psychologist named Carol Dweck, and she touched about 2 different types of mindset that people can have. It's either the fixed mindset or the growth mindset. The fixed mindset is when you think of a problem, what do you say to yourself? What are the things that you think in your mind about that problem? Do you say to yourself, I'm very disappointed, I don't have the skill sets to accomplish this goal, and you just move around and move on? Or do you think about, I may not have the skills today, I may not have the experience today, but I will find a way to achieve these experiences and these goals? So when we're thinking about the narrative about Somali boys or Somali girls and about success, we need to have a growth mindset. We need to equip the resources to the parents that there are many different ways to get to the end point. And we need to tap into these resources early on, not starting at high school, but we need to start that early on, in elementary, in kindergarten all the way up to high school. Even when the child is not graduating from high school, there is many other ways to get them back, get their credits, and get on to post-secondary education. Or even if post-secondary education is not the avenue you're trying to pursue, there are many other ways. For example, I'll just touch one more, Empower. A lot of Somali students are enrolled in Empower. An Empower program, the criteria is that you need a high school diploma, and the Empower program, which is free of cost, provides students the skills the digital skills, because right now we're moving into a digital age where everything is becoming disrupted by technology, and the students are given opportunity to develop digital skills, software development, hardware development, free of cost, and then they will also be equipped to have internships opportunities at big companies like RBC, Manulife Insurance, Procter & Gamble, through these opportunities. So what I want to say is, when we're thinking about success and failure, we need to be intentional, and we need to have a growth mindset. We need to say, we may not have these resources, but what can we do to get these resources? Thank you.
Amina, if you could please comment on that question as well.
I'm just going to add a few notes of what she said. Well, first of all, we have, and the question is what to advise the Somali. I am a Somali parent who have boys, so there are things that have worked for me, and I'm also a mentor for the youth, for most of the Somali youth at Queen's Plate. One thing that I'm currently doing a research on gendered education, and one of my research questions is, why is it that we have so many Somali girls who are in education, who are in universities, more than the boys? And so I asked this question to the students that I'm interviewing, and the first thing they said, Habo, we are always made responsible from a younger age. They said, we are told from a younger age, do this, do this, do this, do this. And in the process, we grow, we become more accountable, we are held, while our brothers are never given that accountability or that responsibility. And that really shook me to the core. And they said, until that changes, it will never, this dynamic will never change. And so I'm putting this, and that goes for me too, is what do I do to my sons to make them responsible as much as my daughter? The other things that also I'm going to tell, it's okay. I tell my youth mentor, the kids that I mentor, it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. It's not the end of the day. It's not your last thing. Success does not consist of never making mistakes. You want to succeed, it's okay to fail. Always be honest. Always be honest with your children. If they want something you cannot afford, tell them, I cannot afford it. Don't kill yourself for something that you cannot have. Be a role model. I decided, I decided to go back to school. And one of the reasons was, in order for my children to succeed, I have to learn this system. I have to know this system. I have to learn it. I have to navigate it. And my kids have to see me as a role model. I cannot preach to my children, go to school, go do this, go do that, yet I don't do it. I know there is language barrier, there's everything that, there's so many structural barriers that we can try to overcome that. I'm just saying we have to be role model for our kids. And it's important to involve our children in the decision making. I know that sounds a little bit critical, but we have to involve our children in decision making. If we're making a decision, someone was shocked when I told them, if my son says that he doesn't want to go to university, that's fine. And they were like, what do you mean you don't want your child to go to university? And I said, well, he doesn't want to. Why I have to pay money for him to go do something that he is not going to be interested in? So we cannot leave our dreams through our children. Let them make that decision, and let them make a decision that is right for them. And always, back home where we grew up, it was a whole village took care of us.
Forward is we're going to try to limit the responses to maybe 1 or 2 minutes, just because of we want to give an opportunity for people to maybe ask a couple of questions. Mr. Kassim, if you can answer that question for us as well.
Thank you. How many boys do you have?
2.
I have 3.
10 that I've
They say the mother of boys has a special place in heaven. I will talk as a father of boys. I would like to share war stories, actually. Example, I have 3 boys. One of them had problems at school when he was in primary, grade 2. His teacher, I sat down with her and she said, it's very hard to keep him seated. It's very hard to keep him quiet. And it was a problem. So at home with parents, he was okay. At school, he was not okay. Both me and his mother didn't have time to sit with him at school. So I came up, I checked the literature, and I came up with the daily note. The daily note means the teacher sends me a note with him every day, describing his behavior at school. Now, that was good, and he would come, and if the note was good, means that day he gets rewards, and if not, he doesn't. So this is the behavior of boys. One day while I was at work, he came home, and he told his mother, I lost the note. And his mother said, okay, you lost it. I came home, and I asked him, where's the note? He said, I lost it. I told him, listen, I was a boy. These notes don't get lost. I will check with your teacher tomorrow, or you will produce the note. So he thought a little bit and said, well, it's outside in the garden. I put it under a stone. So he went, dug the note, and brought it back. Of course, he didn't get his rewards for the day. He said, listen, Dad, that was not my idea. I said, whose idea? He said, my friend. He said, hide it under the stone. So you see the peer pressure and everything. The note helped a lot because it meant every day I had a report of how he performed at school. And that controlled his behavior. The reason I'm bringing this whole thing is the school should be an extension of the house. So whatever is happening at school and at home, it should be a continuum, where as a parent and a teacher, you have this alliance to control the child and guide him. The other thing is we live in an environment, yes, we live in a wealthy country with so many resources, but it is not a family-friendly environment. There is less social control. Yes, there is wealth, but we came from a country that's much poorer, but with a better social control, much better. Yes, there's a difference between a poor neighborhood and a deprived neighborhood. A poor neighborhood is where most of the people are poor. A child does not feel deprived. And there is always the ambition to succeed and do better in this poor environment. In a deprived environment, which is what we have and most of our community live in, it generates a lot of anger in young boys because around them they can see all this wealth. And we, as parents, we are not giving them the tools to let them achieve that kind of success. So, as a parent, it's easy to tell our children a good education is your key to success. But if they don't have the tool set to achieve that, if they're doing poorly in math and English, they are not going to achieve that. Initially, they will struggle, and after a while, when they see they are falling behind, they will just give up. So I mentioned when you have a young child in grade 2, you have to sacrifice a lot in order to have that strong monitoring time to monitor that child. And when they go to middle school, you have to do the second sacrifice, which is you have to do everything to make sure that they excel, especially in these two subjects of math and English, because with those two, it opens doors to everything else.
Maybe I can comment on, not to take away from the presenters, because I want to hand that back, but that question seems to be around, the question was about teachers. One of the things we're very proud of, and I know our board is very focused on, part of our new strategic directions is really focusing on anti-oppression, really focusing people on what do they see? Do they understand their power, their privilege, and who they are? And as they're teaching our children, the focus of equities has been embedded in everything we do. In our classrooms, the entire staff is being trained all over the entire Toronto District School Board. And the idea is, what is it that when I walk into that space, when I walk into that classroom, my lived experiences and who I am as a person has shaped my thinking and my beliefs. So when I'm standing in front of a bunch of students as a teacher or as a leader of a school, the decisions that I make need to reflect my community. And this is part of our learning right now as a leadership team, as teachers. And I believe that this work is being embraced across our entire board as we speak. And I know sitting beside me is very an experienced teacher, new to the board, but someone that's working with students. And I'm thinking that maybe Naima could comment a little bit about that piece, about her work with students as well.
I also went to TDSB schools, and I remember always feeling like I had to kind of check my Somali at the door so that I could fit in. And that was the hardest thing to do, because you can't really leave half yourself outside the door. The classrooms that we have now, we encourage our students to bring their culture and their whole self to the program and to the classroom. Part of our focus is student voice and student engagement. And today, although our parents are absent, most, especially the female folk, we have the most religious and most powerful leaders in the room, and you know who you are. So I'm hoping you can take back the message to those parents who are absent and let them know the importance of parent engagement and the part that they have in shaping their child's dreams. I'm here today with you, even though I had children at a young age and I gave up on myself. If it wasn't for my father, I wouldn't be where I am today. So don't give up on your child, despite the mistakes that they make, and help them get their dreams, because it's possible. I'm here because my parents never gave up.
That's for sure. So I guess I'm thinking about as we move forward in our next steps with our Somali Heritage Month, how we can adjust our forum both this afternoon with students and again this evening to be sure that we have, if it's more time, greater participation. But really want to thank each and every one of you for being with us this evening. We've had what has been a really exciting week. We had C. Webster, some events there, and then Georgetown Community School yesterday, where we had a wonderful luncheon put on by the community, some students who spoke and shared their experiences, and some song. Last evening at board, you heard, it was lovely. We had two groups of students. Naima, thank you very much for bringing students from Pelmo and also Shukri from Beaumont Heights. So today, as you know, here at Kipling Collegiate this afternoon and again this evening. So really, it's been a terrific time for all of us, and there's been a lot of work that's gone into celebrating Somali Heritage Month. One of the pieces that I think I've taken away from this evening even, and I'll thank each of you as we move through this very briefly, but really is the fact that we can get so much more done. If I was to summarize the theme this evening, we can get so much more done when we work together. So I think that, there were references to that link between the school board, and our parents. And, wonderful example of sharing the note back and forth and the hiding of it. I mean, perfectly normal childhood behavior to hide a note under rock. I mean, this is what we do as parents and as educators, and it gives me shivers to think about it. It's that which excites us, right? What is the child going to do next? But in the work between families and schools, if we remain on the same side, meaning specifically, when a child comes home from school, and this isn't done blindly, I'm not suggesting that, but when a child comes home from school and there's interest from the family, as there are many, many interests shown tonight and right across our community, then we know that that's supportive. Just like in the staff room of a school, and there was reference to this, and I appreciate the references because it's equally important. We are partners. We know that we don't talk about students or give up on students. And I mean, I loved your story. We don't give up on our children. As parents or as educators, we believe all children can be successful. And it's easy to say that. And I think, Eamon, you referenced the fact that we've moved towards and continued to do work around an anti-oppressive stance. I can say that, in all honesty, there isn't one member of the senior team who hasn't been changed by that direction in the last 2 years. We've learned about ourselves. We've learned that without knowing it, and it's not something to be proud of, but there are oppressive ways that come within systems, and that's what we're addressing. So even while here this evening receiving an email about a course selection that isn't offered in some secondary schools, and how, as we've heard from a number of our very, very articulate audience members this evening, about how we know that a gap will increase and that our job is not to stop as parents or as educators we can't give up, but we also need to fill those gaps as we move along, right? So if a gap exists, and someone mentioned it, and that's key, we have the research on the early years, students who start out and have that upper leg, if you like, at the beginning, are ones who continue to do well. So that early years education is absolutely critical. We could go on, but I'm just, the theme for me tonight has been very clearly the importance of our partnership and how we're excited by the fact that you're here tonight. We're going to take away for next year, when we're working through what we'll have for a forum for our community, is going to be, and with our community, different learnings that will hopefully fill this auditorium. Let's get a singer. I heard that would bring the crowd, right? I mean, the resilience, the perseverance, the collaboration, the importance of role modeling, I think, is absolutely critical. This notion of a continuum, in summary, I think is critical for what we're doing next and how we can support one another. So I thank everybody for being here. Thank you to each of you. And you want to say, and Naeem is going to say a couple thank yous. So terrific, thank you. Have enjoyed the rest of the evening.
This wouldn't be possible if we didn't have the support of our admin team, Beth, Angela, Danny, who is on top of everything in this world. Our Somali leaders, Imam Yasha, thank you so much, and Imatan. Abu Saeed, thank you so much for everything you've done. Somali Canadian Forum, and Faisal Hassan, thank you for taking the time coming for me. And all my friends who dressed up in Somali traditional clothes, we worked hard, but we did it. And leaders, I hope you take back the message that we need to do this together, and it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child, so let's do this together.
munaasabadan waxay ku saabsanayd xus la xusaayo hidaha iyo dhaqanka Soomaaliyeed. waxaan nasiib u yeelan haddaan community ku nool Toronto inaan wasaaradda waxbarashada aan ka dhamayno in Soomaalida taariikhdeeda la xuso. waxaan ka mid nahay 6 ama 7 dawladood oo arintaas la siiyay oo loo xuso bilaha lagu daro. bishan October ayaan ku leenahay inaan la xuso maalintaas. waxay isugu jirtaa barnaamij bandhig hidaha iyo dhaqanka Soomaaliyeed looga hadlayo, lagu tilmaamayo Soomaalida contribution yani waxtarka ay ku leedahay dalka ayaa lagu tilmaamaya. waxaa maanta halkan caawil iskugu yimid waalidiinta oo loo keenay inay looga sheekeeyo sida ilmahooda ku gaarsiin karaan mustaqbal fiican, in iskuulka ku guuleystaan, mujtamacna doorka ay ku leeyihiin ay ka qaataan. marka waxaan nasiib u yeelanay in aan waxa iskugu yimid halka culamadii khiyaartii waxbarashadii iyo dumarkii iyo hooyooyinkii ay iskugu yimid oo ay muujinayaan loo sheegayo sida ay ugu baahan tahay ilmaha inay guul gaaraan inay iskaashadaan iskuulka macallimiinta iyo waalidiinta taas ayaanu ahayd nasiib baan u yeelanay inaan noqonno dalalka yar oo la xuso waxaana arrintaas ka dambeeyey dhalinyaro Soomaaliya oo wasaaradda aad ugu loobangareeyay sanadkii hore Oktoobar baa la qabtay oo kii koowaad ah kana waa kii labaad insha Allah mustaqbalkana sidaas Oktoobar kasta loo xusi doonaa taariikhda hidaha Soomaaliyeed
mahad mahadsanid waxaan halkan u dabaaldegaynaa inaynu u dabaaldegno dhaqankeena sidoo kalena in aynu dib u eegno guulaha ay gaareen ardayda wax ka barata Toronto District School Boardka oo runtii dhibaatooyin ay ka jiraan loona baahan yahay sidii dhibaatooyinkaas aynu uga wada kaashan lahayn si aynu xal waarana aynu heli lahayn dabcan caawa aad baa looga hadlay waxaa laga hadlay maaragtay dhibaatooyinka waa laga hadlay xalkana waa laga hadlay haddana in la xoojiyo sidii dhibaatada laga hadlay xal aynu heli lahayn insha Allah
xafladani waxay ahayd xaflad aad u qiimo badan oo wanaagsan wadamo tiro badan oo dhowr iyo 10 ayaa waxaa loo ictiraafay inay noqoto Heritage Day October in laga dhigo bisha Soomaalidu ay u dabaaldegaan dhaqankooda iyo magaranaysa waxa ila tahay waa opportunity wanaagsan oo ay noqonayso in ardayda iyo macallimiinta iyo magaranaysa waalidiintu inay yeeshaan xiriir midaysan oo ay arrimaha iyo ardaynimada iyo iskuulka iyo waxbarashada ku saabsan ay ka wada shaqeeyaan iskuulladu waxay u baahan yihiin wax laga bedelo maamulkooda wax laga bedelo waxaan ku talinaynaa in la helo iskuulla ay Soomaalidu madax ka tahay macallimiin ka tahay principal ka tahay superintendent ka tahay dan waxa fududaanaysa arrimaha Soomaalidu u baahan tahay in la ogaado xafladan xaflad qiimo badan weeye aad baan u soo dhaweynayaa Soomaalidu inay meel ay joogaanba Canada ay ka faa'iideystaan inclusiveness-ka ama soo dhaweynta Canadianka dawladda Canadianku ay siinayso waxaan mahadinayaa iyadana dawladda Canada iyo Liberal Party oo arrintan ka shaqeeyay waxaan leeyahay thank you very much
haddaan community-ga Somali Canadian ku nool magaalada Toronto waxaan nasiib u yeelanay in boardka tacliinta loo yaqaan TDSB Toronto District School Board inay u aqoonsatay bishan October inay noqoto bishii hidaha iyo dhaqanka Soomaaliya lagu xusi lahaa qiimaha ay leedahay waxa weeyaan in caruurteennii oo dhigatay iskuulaadkaas in ay loo garto maalin lagu xasuusiyo la baro loona dabaaldego hidaha iyo dhaqanka ay leeyihiin qiimaha ay leedahay waxa weeyaan in cunuga asagoo baranaya tacliintii wadankan laga baray isla markaana aasaas looga dhigo hidihiisa iyo dhaqanka taana waa wax farxad leh faa'iido weyn noo leh annagana community-ga Soomaali aan aad ugu faraxsanahay
maanta waxaan u mahadcelinayaa Mahad Carabow aad baad u mahadsan tahay interviewga ama waraysigaada la yeelanaysid maanta kulan kale wuxuu ka dhacay Kiblen Collegiate oo ku yaala magaalada Toronto waa conference ama shir lagaga hadlayo ilmaha Canada ku dhashay Soomaalida asalkooda uu yahay sida waxbarashada loogu adkeyn lahaa sida loogu sabargareyn lahaa fasalada sida ilmaha wax loo bari lahaa oo loo barbaarin lahaa marka maanta waxa la isugu keenay macallimiintii administrationadii iyo directoorayaashii iskuullada ka shaqeynayay marka waxa laga wada hadlayay sida habka ilmaha Soomaaliyeed Canada ku dhashay loo barbaarin lahaa oo loogu wax loo bari lahaa oo looga soo saari lahaa ilma hagaagsan oo mujtamacooda wax ku darsada oo mujtamacooda wax ka muuqda wax ka noqda oo maanta intaas laga wada hadlayay marka anigana waa la casumay anoo ah waxbarayaasha ama professorada magaalada ka ah waa la casumay oo waxaanu ka hadalay oo waalidiinta ka wada hadalay waxbarashada iyo habka ilmaha loogu saaciidayo iyo habka iskoolada xilka haysta looga bixin lahaa ama loogala shaqeyn lahaa si ay ilmo wax soo saar leh oo ilmo soo baxa la soo saaro iskuulladu ay soo saarto
waxaan arkaa aniga wax aad iyo aad u weyn baan u arkaa waayo haddii ilmuhu aysan dhaqan lahayn oo dhaqankooda mataqaanaa ay ka gaabiyaan waxaa dhumaya mataqaanaa horumar oo uu samayn lahaa ayaa ka dhumaya marka dhaqanku door weyn buu ka ciyaaraa horumarka mataqaanaa ii sheegeen ilmaha noloshooda marka arrinkaanito in ay noqoto kaliya xoogaa hal mar sano inta la sameeyo kaliya dabadna markii laga gudbo caawo kale ay halka ku ekaato waa laga fiican yahay waxaan ku tali lahaa aniga in maarta dhaqanka uu meelo badan ka muuqdo continuation inuu yeesho waxaan aad u xoojinayaa waxay tahay kaliya aanu qaybta khusaysa aan fiiro gaar u yeesho waxay tahay waa dhinaca af Soomaaliga ilmaheena waxa waaye inta badan af Soomaali lagu ma hadlo markii guri joogaan marka hooyooyinka Soomaaliyeed waxaan aad iyo aad ugu guwaabinayaa ilmaha markii ay aad la hadlaysaan ha kula hadlina English ha kula hadlina kula sheekaysta af Soomaali maxaa jira haddii aynan saas yeelin waxa dhacaysa adigu Englishkaaga wuxuu meel dhax ku go'ayaa ma korayo cunugina Englishkiisu wuu korayaa ilaa ay wuxuu gaarayaa mataqaanaa sida qof ku dhasho Canada oo kale waxa imanaysa markii ilmaha markay ay gaaraan maarata high school gaaraan ama jaamacad gaaraan habartii iyo muxuu ahaa isheeg iyo odagii iyo waalidkii isfahamkoodii iyo xiriirkoodii ayaa yaraanaya markuu yiraahdo cunuga markuu arkay in maarata hooyadan ama aabahan uu si fahmaynin wuxuu marka bilaabayaa inuu yara ignore gareeyo ama xoogaa ka yara gaabsado inuu xiriir fiican la samaysto waalidkii marka haddii uu xumaado xiriirka aabaha iyo waalidka iyo maarata ilmaha uu xumaadana meeshaas wax weyn ayaa dhibaataha ayaa ka dhalanaysa si dhibaatadaas looga hortago marka waxaan qabaa marka ay yar yihiinba ilmaha ha lagula sheekaysto af Soomaali si xiriirka communicationka oo waalidka iyo ilmuhu oo markuu weynaadana uu u fiicnaado maxaa jira communicationka ama isfahamka waa waxa ugu weyn dad meel ku wada nool inay yeeshaan
raxmatullaahi wabarakaatu maanta aniga oo liibaan waxaa tusayaa dadka Soomaali weynta inaan dhaqankii Soomaaliga sidii loogu talagalay u soo labistay marka inaan muujiyaa rabaan oo Canada jooga waana ku faraxsanahay
Canada ay ku darto waxbarashada dalka Canada maalin kamid in lagu xasuusto dhaqanka Soomaalida dalka Canada Soomaalida ayaa soo gaartay sanadii 1991 dalka Canada Soomaalida waxa ay soo martay heerar kala duwan imikana waxay waxbarashada kaga jirtaa heerarkii ugu sareeyay Mahad Carabow Cali telefishinka Universal magaalada Toronto ee dalka Canada